So, the Ruin DLC has just been released, and us gamers have probably already completed it about 5 times over. However, that's not what this video is about. Today's video is on the actual lore given to us in the new Ruin DLC, specifically that of Glamrock Bonnie. From the title, you can already tell where this is going. So you're probably wondering, what and why makes me feel like I know what has happened to Glamrock Bonnie. Well, let me show you this theory. We all know Bonnie as one of the OG 4 from the original Fnaf game, and since then he has been a main staple throughout the Fnaf games. However, this all changed in December of 2021 when Security Breach was released. This arose the question of where is Bonnie and why has he been replaced by Monty Gator? This was all a mystery until the Ruin DLC explained it to us, or so it seems. Let me show you. Let's start in chapter 3. Where the story of Bonnie starts to unravel and we see a glimpse of what happened for Bonnie to not be part of the 4 anymore. During the ride through Monty Golf, we see the story of Monty, where it first shows us Monty in his own band. As you can see, he is in a one-man jug band. Next, it shows Monty admiring Bonnie in the crowd while Bonnie performs, showing to us that Bonnie is Monty's supposed idol. Next, it shows Bonnie giving Monty the guitar, essentially the passing of the torch, and showing to us that Bonnie had chosen to leave the band. And finally, we see Roxy giving Monty the haircut to be a rock star, with the ride finishing up with Monty performing to a huge crowd, symbolising that he had now fulfilled his dream of being a huge entertainer. Although for many this looked like a wholesome explanation to us as to why Bonnie has left the band, I was always a bit sceptical, and I instead feel this is a cover-up for the absence of Bonnie and a way of putting it across to the customers as to why Bonnie has gone. However, you're probably wondering why I feel this is a cover-up. Well, let me show you why. In chapter 7, we are exploring what was once Bonnie Bowl, and if you had used the Vanny mask in front of the screen showing pizza, it shows a visual animation of Bonnie spinning a bowling ball. This alone symbolises how the situation of Bonnie has been covered up, as they have clearly covered up the image of what was once Bonnie and Bonnie Bowl with an image of pizza. This may not be convincing enough evidence for Bonnie's disappearance being a cover-up, so let me show you what else I found while exploring Bonnie Bowl. We all know in Security Breach that Freddy was once very close to Bonnie before what happened to him. This was shown when we entered Freddy as Gregory and went up to Bonnie's stage in Bonnie Bowl, and how he stated he doesn't go there anymore. And if you can't remember this, here is the clip.
I do not come up here anymore. I miss him.
Their relationship was further strengthened when we were brought into Bonnie's room in chapter 7 after going through his curtain. Here we actually get to see what's inside the stage. One thing stands out for me, and it is the poster clearly given from Freddy to Bonnie, where it says "You and me, forever and ever, love Freddy." This is significant, not just because it shows the sweet relationship of both Freddy and Bonnie, but we actually go on to see it again in the Bonnie Bowl. This phrase of forever and ever, you may be wondering why it's so significant. Well, it's actually a nod to the cartoons we are shown during Security Breach. Let me show you one of them.
Hey everybody, put the radio on. Time to throw our troubles away. Hey, hey, we're turning up the music, we're having a ball. This band keeps rocking forever and ever, forever and ever.
Anyway, I'm starting to derail a little bit, so let's get back on track. If you were to deactivate all 27 wet floor bots, or shown to us in the coding as soul bots, which I'll show to you now if you haven't already seen it, and don't worry, I will come back to this later in the video. So like I said, once you've deactivated all 27 wet floor bots, you should see a 28th wet floor bot next to one of the bowling alleys. If you are to deactivate this, the bowling alley walls actually open up to show us a pathway, and if we are to go through the pathway, we are shown the dead body of Glamrock Bonnie, and this is where the theory really starts to build. This actually supports my theory that the Monty Golf ride was a cover-up for what really happened to Bonnie. As we can see here, that Bonnie clearly did not leave the band, or if he did, he was destroyed after, which isn't really the theory I'm going with. The theory I'm going off is that Bonnie was actually killed or destroyed by one of the animatronics or Vanny herself. So let's see who I think it is. Right off the bat, something stands out to me. This being the 3 claw marks on the front of his chest, which are also stained green, looking a lot similar to the mossy green texture from Monty Golf. Who else has 3 claws? That's right, Monty Gator. This really supports the ever-long theory many Fnaf fans have had that Monty killed Bonnie, ever since the message on the Fazwatch in Security Breach, which showed Bonnie was last seen in Monty Golf and was still missing. So from this, we can easily assume that it was Monty who was the one to murder Bonnie. And this image here, which I found on Twitter, shows something even more interesting to support that even further. This image is taken from the final part of the Monty Golf ride, where Monty is performing to a crowd. As you can see, this image has been enhanced and altered so we can clearly see the objects in the image. If you look closely in the whirlwind Monty is creating with his guitar, we can see a Bonnie cutout blowing away. This symbolises how Bonnie was actually pushed aside and disregarded by Monty, rather than the other way in which the ride is trying to present to us, where Bonnie is actually Monty's idol, and Bonnie passes on the torch to Monty, allowing him to join the band. Now we've got all the pieces of evidence, you're probably thinking to yourself, how could it be anyone else other than Monty? And I agree with you, I do think it was Monty that killed Bonnie. However, we now need to get on to why Monty killed Bonnie. This part of the video is going to be really interesting as I have 2 theories on why Monty killed Bonnie. One of them being that Monty killed Bonnie himself, and the second theory being that Monty was under the control of someone. If you just want to watch one of those 2, I will put in the description where in the video each one is. However, I would suggest sticking to watch both and leave in the comments what you think on them. Right, let's get into the first one on Monty killing Bonnie himself and why I think he did it. As we know in Security Breach, Monty has been shown to have a very angry behaviour pattern and is shown to be very destructive, so we could just assume it was due to his anger that he lashed out on Bonnie. However, I think if it was down to Monty killing Bonnie, that it would be personal. I believe Monty killed Bonnie to get back at Freddy for something in the past. You may be wondering why he didn't just attack Freddy. Well, this would be due to the fact that Monty knew Freddy was too big to go missing, but Bonnie wouldn't be, as he'd be able to replace him himself. So by killing Bonnie, who we already know had a very close relationship with Freddy, would mentally crush him, and therefore do what Monty set out to do. On top of this, if we were to go back into the Monty Golf ride, we can actually see reasons to believe that Monty dislikes Freddy. At the start of the ride, where we see Monty admiring Bonnie on the stage, Freddy has actually been darkened out and you can barely see him. And then at the end of the ride, when Monty is actually performing to the audience, his whirlwind is actually cutting off Freddy's head. So I feel this theory is rather thin, and there's not a lot to support that Monty would dislike Freddy. However, there could be reasons for that, and I don't really know what that would be. But we might need a prequel DLC to support this even further. This is definitely the weaker out of the 2 theories, and I feel a lot more confident on the second one, so let me show you why. This second theory being that Vanny had actually controlled Monty to destroy Bonnie, and she actually killed him herself. There are a fair few clues and reasons why I feel Vanny did this. The first reason being that Bonnie was aware of what was happening with Vanny, and saw how she was under the control of Glitch Trap, and before he could do anything, Vanny had tampered with Monty so that he would attack him. However, I do not feel that Monty was the one to actually finish him off. This is where the soul bots are brought back into the theory. I feel these bots are an indicator to the path in which Bonnie was dragged, and the final 4 bots being where he actually died. I'm aware there are quite a few scattered soul bots, however I feel it's more of a metaphorical path rather than a physical one. So I believe Monty was changed by Vanny so that he would attack Bonnie enough so she could drag him to his death. This also helps the idea of why Monty was so aggressive and destructive at the start of Security Breach, with his own room being out of order due to this. And I feel, prior to Security Breach, that Monty didn't have an angry or destructive personality. So it makes sense that this sudden destructive and angry behaviour was due to some sort of tampering. Therefore, this would support my theory that Vanny had actually tampered with Monty to kill Bonnie. Let me show you what other facts led me to believe Vanny had killed Bonnie. If we go back to the Monty ride one more time, and I promise you it's the last time, if we go back to the Monty ride where Monty is performing to an audience, we actually see a headless Freddy. I feel this is slyly suggesting to us who is involved with Bonnie's death and the person who's covering it up. If we go back to security breach, who is the only person to remove Freddys' head? That's right, it's Vanny. So I feel Steel Wool are slyly trying to suggest to us that Vanny is the person involved in Bonnie's death, as well as the person trying to cover it up. If you are wanting more reasons why I feel Vanny killed Bonnie, then let's have a look at where Bonnie's body actually is. This area looks like a place no animatronics would easily be able to fit in, yet someone of Vanny's size could easily drag the body in and finish him off. I feel in this area Vanny actually kills Bonnie, and the way she does it is by striking his head with a bowling ball. Here is an image of Bonnie lying on the ground, and if you look closely to his head, there are parts of a broken bowling ball around it. So therefore, I feel Vanny had gotten Bonnie to the point where he couldn't protect himself with the use of Monty, and then killed and disposed of him behind one of the bowling alleys. Finally, the thing I think ties it all back to Vanny is that Bonnie's room holds the path to Vanny's secret room. This may be because they are both rabbits, and therefore having the rabbit hole to Vanny's room is fitting. However, I feel this is to show Vanny got rid of Bonnie and now uses his room as a pathway into her room. Also, we see a lot of help bots lurking around the back of Bonnie's room when wearing the Vanny mask. We have to remember that Vanny controls them, and they could have also been the ones to have killed Bonnie for Vanny behind the bowling alley, which would make sense to use the wet floor bots as soul bots. With all these hints and evidence, I think it is really hard to argue that Vanny had nothing to do with the death of Bonnie, even if it wasn't done directly by her. So to round off my theory, I do think it's due to Vanny that Glamrock Bonnie is dead, even if it's not all done by her, as shown by my belief that she controlled Monty. However, that is still down to her control. So therefore, to summarise my theory, I think that it is Vanny who killed Glamrock Bonnie. So there you have it. This is my theory on who killed Bonnie and why. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you think I left anything out, make sure to leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, as I have even more FNAF content coming out soon. Until the next one, peace.